So today we are going to do a ranking tier list of each of the available Magic the Gathering cinematic trailers for sets that actually got them. So we don't have too many to choose from because they're sort of a modern iteration with a couple of throwbacks thrown in there, but I am doing this live on YouTube right now, so make sure you subscribe and tick that notification bell so you know when I go live. And my stream schedule is like roughly Mondays and Wednesdays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So if you want to catch us live and join in the discourse as we're going through our ranking tier lists of various topics, make sure you hit the notification bell so you are notified when I go live. This is the definitive tier list for the MTG cinematic trailers for their various expansions, and we are going to be ranking these off of my personal opinion, so take it with a great grain of salt, but also I'm going to be ranking it based off of how well I feel that these trailers express the story found within the sets and easily convey that to the person and makes them want to learn more about that world or the story taking place there. So I'm looking for something that is clear, something that's exciting, something that gets people pumped up for the set. You know, what a trailer looks to do. It likes to spread excitement about the set, get people hyped for it, pumped for it, and that is what I'm going to be ranking these trailers on and their success therein. So let's get chat up and let's get started with, in alphabetical order, Aether Revolt.
Security measures are now in place. Inventors' permits are suspended. And Aether access is restricted.
People of Kaladesh, my name is Chandra Nalar.
Ooh, Chandra?
And I am one of you. We
I forgot she
trusted
said
the
that.
consulate once, but they betrayed us. Don't be blinded by Tezzeret's lies. The consulate sends peacemakers to arrest you and calls that safety? They steal your inventions and deny you Aether access and call that freedom?
Ignore this agitator!
Do you feel safe?
Hold on, boob.
Do you feel free?
Enough! Initiate crowd control.
Don't you dare touch them.
Disperse this rabble.
If you're looking for a fight, I'll give you one. It's time to take back the power. Are you with me?
Oh, I am with you, Chandra Nalar, or Chandra Nalar. So, Aether Revolt, that was a pretty damn good trailer, you know? I gotta say, that was a damn good trailer. I actually forgot how good that trailer was. It really is the bridge between the old card animations and like shifting into a more of a 3D design that you see in a lot of modern trailers nowadays. But this was really good. It laid out the story. It showed the depiction of those in power trying to keep people calm and subjugated. Like Dovin there was being incredibly nerdy and trying to be like, oh yeah, everyone stay calm, listen to rules, obey, obey. And Chandra's on the loudspeaker, you know, revolt, revolt, and you know, spreading her message of, you know, anarchy essentially. But yeah, this was a really good story. It laid out who the villains were, who the heroes were, what they were fighting against, what they were fighting for, and then Tezzeret, the main antagonist, comes out and really lays down the hammer on why one side is worse than the other and why you should be fighting alongside Chandra Nalar. So at the beginning, you kind of don't know, like, is Chandra just being a provocateur? What's going on here? But then Tezzeret steps in and says, no, lock it all down. Ugh. And this is the first time we really see, like, an actual villain take such an overtly obvious role in a trailer, I think. I can't really recall any other time outside of War of the Spark, which we'll get to. But that was really good. That was a really good trailer, and you know what? I'm going to go ahead and start this off strong. That was A. That was A tier. The voice acting was great. Chandra Nalar calling herself Chandra, I don't know if that's correct. I've always pronounced it Chandra, and everyone I know pronounces it Chandra, so is Chandra correct? I don't know if that was just like a little bit of miscommunication from the voice actor, or something that may have just been slipped through the quality check or something like that, but it doesn't sound right to me. So, still, that was an A tier. The voice acting was great. It was awesome. You could tell what the story was right from the get, and it made me excited for the set. I remember it made me excited back in the day, and it made me excited again right now. Really good trailer. So let's go ahead and get ready for trailer number 2. We got Amonkhet. Ooh, that card animation. Dude, we got a bop. This is a bop, right? Someone's got to remix this.
One from many. By force of will. Force my might. Driven by fire. Born by death. To rise eternal.
One from many, by force of will, forged by might, driven by fire, born by death, to rise eternal.
All right, okay. So, Amonkhet's trailer, I remember when I first saw it, I kind of didn't like it. I kind of didn't like it because the animation seemed really weird. This is like the epitome of that transition period from the strictly 2D card animation style to 3D animations. Like, these were right on the cusp of just being full-blown 3D models of the artwork, you know? And it looked kind of janky. It looked like the first prototypes of those kind of animations, and it really showed. And I didn't really like that too much. That being said, I really like the sound and music used in this trailer. It really, really adds a lot of mystery and drama to the scenes being done here. And it just, Amonkhet's trailer doesn't really get into the storyline of Amonkhet, because Amonkhet itself was the introduction of a story. It wasn't the story itself. It was more so laying down the groundworks of what this plane was about, you know, what their god system is like, what their society is like. And this does an okay job at least showing you what the people of Amonkhet are about. Training, war, fighting, you know, dying for their gods. It shows a lot of that. It shows a lot of world building. It really, really does. But that being said, Amonkhet obviously had a story with the Gatewatch and everything too, you know. And that story does not get depicted here at all. I will say it gets me hyped up for the world of Amonkhet, but not necessarily the set itself or the story in it. Like, I would go out and buy the, you know, world art book associated with Amonkhet so I can learn more about the little bits and trivia of the world building itself. But maybe I wouldn't be too excited about reading the books or the novels associated with it, or the online articles at this point for it. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Amonkhet's trailer, it's good, but it's slightly worse than Aether Revolts. So I'm going to put Amonkhet in B tier. Yeah, B tier feels right to me, you know. It was still a really good trailer, and I still like this animation style a lot. It just was a little bit janky, and it doesn't really compel me to want to learn about the story as much as it does make me want to learn about the world of Amonkhet. And those are two kind of strictly different things, and it didn't get me that pumped up to, you know, get my hands on the cards necessarily. But I'm someone who's driven by story and world building, and this delivered on one, but not so much the other. That's going to classify it as a B for me. All right, let's get into the next trailer, guys. It's one of my personal favorite sets. Well, blocks of story, so I'm going to be a little bit biased here, but this is Avacyn Restored. Let's pop it in.
My demon master resides within this hell vault.
It's perfect Liliana voice.
I cannot shatter it outright, but I can cast a spell that will make an unwitting fool the agent of its destruction. Such as Thalia. You, Cathar. Save this shiny rock, or save the lives of your fellow warriors. How predictable. Grizzlebrand, the demon I seek to remove my curse.
Avacyn.
With Avacyn restored, my interests now lie elsewhere.
Legions of angels have been given a renewed sense of purpose, and clearly, strength is returning to our people. Archmages are again wielding their divine power. Once fearsome predators are now subservient guardians. And this reign of darkness will end.
All right.
And this reign of darkness will...
Sorry about that. All right. So, Avacyn Restored its trailer. So, every time I see this trailer, and I watch it from time to time, and especially when I first saw it, chills. Straight chills. Not gonna lie. Just, the trailer explores a lot. It's very wordy. It's very dense in contents, in content and context. But it is a trailer that either could have been longer or could have had it streamlined a little bit more efficiently. Still, the way the music affects, or it works with the dialogue and the scenery, it really, really, really hits home that this is a set of hope and that evil is going to be vanquished in this set, and that light is returning to a world ravaged by darkness in the two previous sets. Avacyn Restored really, really, really conveys that feeling of hope with Avacyn's return, you know? That alone makes me love this trailer so much. And, like, I am completely biased because I love these trailers. The voice acting was great. It does jump around quite a bit. It starts with Liliana talking about her chain veil, and then it transitions over to angels, and angels regaining their light and coming back to the world, and Liliana saying, all right, angels are back, I'm out of here. So it kind of goes all over the place. That being said, it gives me chills every single time I watch it. So how can I not put Avacyn A? How can I not put that in the A tier? It very clearly explains the story of this set. It doesn't go over the entire set, but it doesn't need to, because this is specific to one set in the block. You know what I mean? So in Avacyn Restored, what happens? It literally gets conveyed in the trailer itself, and it makes me hyped to get myself a copy of Avacyn. You know what I mean? It makes me want that card so bad, because it is the centerpiece of this trailer. You know, her coming at the end, bringing light to the citizens of Innistrad. That's where I want a good A trailer to be. Yeah, hold your hand like you're 5. It really does drag you along, but you have to remember, a lot of Magic's players aren't knee-deep in the story like me or you or other people in the Vorthos community are. A lot of the times when I have conversations with people at the LGS or online or something like that, they have no idea what the story is and honestly don't really care. But when a set trailer releases, even those non-Vorthos players like to watch those trailers and get hyped for the set ahead. And they need to kind of get the gist of the story in that moment, because they might not learn anything more about it beyond that point. Maybe if they're given enough in these trailers, they'll get interested and want to learn more. But if they're given nothing, they'll just chop it up as a loss and just look at the cards when they get spoiled. You know what I mean? I still liked it. So let's go on. We're moving on to Battle for Zendikar. Let's go ahead and put this bad boy on.
Our world is a place of beauty and danger. It is equal parts adventure and disaster. It is Zendikar, our home, and it is under siege. Monsters have emerged everywhere.
Eldrazi.
Some say they have been here all along.
Oh, not Nissa.
But I say they are not of this world. And it is we who are trapped. They are spreading across Zendikar, killing and consuming. Left unchallenged, they will leave our home a wasteland. But Zendikar has its defenders, heroes who fight to save this world from the forces that threaten to destroy it. We all must find strength in one another. Only then can Zendikar be saved. Now
Yeah,
is
it might
the
be
time
Tezray.
to face this alien threat, to take a stand, to battle for Zendikar.
Good addition of the set's name in the trailer. Good ad. I love how they use the, I love when they actually use the, like, box art, like the key art in the trailer itself. It's awesome. Let's break down the Battle for Zendikar trailer and where I would rank it in the tier list of MTG cinematic trailers. So, that was really good. Again, it was really wordy, but as someone said in chat, it's a call to action. It has to be wordy. It's essentially propaganda to get people riled up to defend their home world against the Eldrazi threat. And it really does a great job of showing the threat emerging and what it's going to take to confront it. It also doesn't go too deep into the story of Battle for Zendikar, but at the same time, also gives us a depiction of the Gatewatch, well, the Planeswalkers of the Gatewatch getting ready to do their part in this effort. So it's a great look at the world from a native point of view, a native of Zendikar, without having the full knowledge of what's going on there, which we, the players, probably know a little bit more about, but maybe less knowledgeable players would look at that and be like, oh, I get what they're saying. These are monsters. And then they can maybe expand upon that. What are these monsters? Do some independent research. Maybe read into it a little bit more, find out that they're Eldrazi. It gets you excited. The Battle for Zendikar set itself was really, really cool for me. I was super hyped about it. Anything Eldrazi related, of course, gets me pogged out of my mind. So this was a great set for me. When I saw the trailer, I loved it. I believe I did a review on it at the time, like kind of like a speculation video on it. So I really, really did love this trailer. Sorry, I'm going to read chat just a little bit. Oh, BFZ is where you started watching me, Casey, also? Okay, cool. I'm glad that you're still here for the channel at this point in time. That's a lot of time. Thanks, man. So, where am I going to put Battle for Zendikar in my tier list? Well, I think it's one of those trailers that finally hits the uppermost peak of what I think a trailer should kind of convey to the watcher. It gets them hyped up for the set ahead. It gets people interested in the story of that set. It gives you a little bit of world building, but it doesn't handhold you. I think it is an S tier trailer. I'm going to say this is the first S tier trailer of our list. I know everyone has different personal tastes for what they look for in a trailer. For me, this mixes everything perfectly and hits on all the points that I laid out as being a good trailer. That being that it conveys the story, it builds the world, it makes you excited for the set, and makes you want to learn more about it. So I really think it's an S tier trailer because to me, it did all those things. You know what? If it didn't work for you guys, that's completely fine. Remember, you guys are going to be able to make your own tier list and you guys can send it to me. You can tweet it at me with your picks on what was S, A, B, C, D, F, where you think I did wrong. What fits with your personal opinion, all right? And I encourage that. If you want to take this tier list, make one of your own and send it to me, have at it. That would be amazing. I would always want to encourage that, guys. But right now, with Battle for Zendikar out of the way, let's go ahead and go to Born of the Gods, one of the original Theros block.
So much power.
Again, this is really good voice acting.
So much adoration. And what do the gods do with it? They meddle. Ithara coddles the humans like children, while Phoenix, ever amused by their torment, finds new ways to enjoy them. Karametra strives to keep the mortals sheltered from the gathering shadows. And Mogis has seized the opportunity to set his minotaurs
Sky
upon
Minotaur.
But standing among their ranks is the sun god's champion,
Alfie.
Elspeth. Will her heroism be enough to save them?
Maniacal laugh. Perfect.
So now, they revel in their victory. While I make my place in the sky, among the gods. Darkness approaches. May the fates aid any who venture into the night alone. Among the gods.
Ooh. All right, so where to put Born of the Gods? So this set was not fantastic, but you know, with a lot of the older sets that were in the three set block sort of format, you always kind of had a, you know, the middle set was always kind of weird. You know, this came between Theros and Journey into Nyx. So Born of the Gods kind of got a little bit shafted in terms of card quality, all this kind of stuff. That being said, this trailer is really great. I love this trailer a lot. The voice actor of Xenagos is perfect because as he narrates the story, you get a sense of what he's about. That he has a disdain for the gods. That even though he's describing the gods of this set, which is also a really good way to world build a little bit, he doesn't just lay it out to you in an essay saying, here's this god, here's what he does. Here's what the god is known for, or something like that. Xenagos does a great job of speaking to these gods and what they're related to, while also putting his own spin on it and saying why he dislikes them and all that stuff. It's a really, 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 really good trailer. So it hits on a lot of things that I really love from a trailer. That being said, it can be a little confusing because it can be a little confusing. It jumps around a little bit from describing the gods to describing Elspeth to describing his plan to become a god. And you really don't know how those are connected. You really don't know what his plan is beyond becoming a god. And that really does leave a lot for you want to dig in and learn more about, because at this point they did have novels for the story. So maybe it does propel a person to want to, you know, go out and read more about this story. But at the same time, it doesn't do a great job of making those connections. But still, as a middle trailer for a block that got 3 trailers, this was really good. I'm going to say that because it's jammed in between 2 other trailers that, you know, we're going to rate later on in this video, I'm going to put Born of the Gods specifically in B. So I really don't know if there's going to be C, D, and F tier trailers. I really don't. But I did like Born of the Gods quite a bit. It is an old school trailer, so it's a lot of 2D animations. Some of it looks kind of weird, but still, it was a great narration. Great voice acting and narration for sure. I do think this is the only block that got all 3 trailers. No, the Innistrad block, original Innistrad block, also got 3 trailers. But I think that was the last, and I think maybe Mirrodin did too, but they were kind of short. It was weird. Tarkir also did. Yeah, thank you, chat. Yeah, there was a few, but they didn't last. They certainly didn't last. Benjamin, you feel like becoming a god is a pretty good end goal unto itself. You're right. That is a pretty good end goal, but Xenagos as a character did have a lot more that he wanted to achieve in becoming a god, and that wasn't conveyed, but it didn't need to be conveyed. This is a trailer. You didn't have to go over Xenagos' life story and his motivations and all that kind of stuff, but it did get me excited for the set, despite it being a middle set, and despite it not being too great as it turned out. But still, it was fun and great. I'm going to give it a B. Alright guys, we are going into another Innistrad set with Dark Ascension.
My bonds have compelled me back to Markov Manor. Painfully, it's clear this land is not as I'd left it. Thraben's wall has been breached. The balance I strove to perfect has been upset. My ravenous brethren cannot see the greater good. And once again, they wreak havoc, their hunger knowing no bounds. Humanity fights valiantly, but they are losing ground. Some go mad. Others, sensing the inevitable, give themselves freely.
Low-cut dress.
And once the shadows claim the last of them, my kind shall turn on itself. Where is she whom I created, my guardian of order? Avacyn, my angel. What has befallen you? I will find you, and those who block me will answer to my sword.
Alright, so with Dark Ascension, I really do love all of the Innistrad, the original Innistrad block trailers. I really do. They're really, really good. I really miss that old 2D art style animation. Now, obviously, it comes with its limitations, and it's kind of janky looking, especially on some of those zombie card artworks. Yeah, it kind of looked not great, but at the same time, I feel like the 2D animations give these trailers a lot of charm. It really does. Like, Magic the Gathering is a cardboard trading card game. You know, these are trading cards, and they have 2D artwork. Taking that 2D artwork and just adding motion to them gives it a better connection to the cards themselves and the artwork on them than we see from some of the later 3D animations. I can obviously tell the difference between one looking technically better than the other, looking more polished, more modern, and maybe bringing in a different type of audience. But for me, these 2D animations, while janky, are really, really charming. Now, that being said, Soren Markov is one of my favorite characters, and I didn't really, in an ideal world, see his voice acting being done like this. It's kind of flat, kind of monotone. He does get he does put some emotion in there at the end, but it kind of falls anticlimactic. That being said, the written dialogue is really, really good. It's how I would expect Soren to kind of talk about his home world, talk about his brethren, talk about his long-term plans on Innistrad and how they're disrupted by his angel being lost. And it shows us a little teaser of the Hell Vault, the thing that is containing Avacyn, but we don't know that at this point. So it teases a lot. It teases that Avacyn is somehow connected to Soren. It's really, really good at conveying the story without just holding your hand the entire time, but it does lay down like what's at stake. Soren is concerned that his world is going to fall into complete chaos and bloodshed without a balance, and he is looking to uphold that balance even despite his own people's like wishes and demands and their own goals. So he is opposed to his own people in stride for his own goals, right? So yeah, Dark Ascension here is really good. It hits home a lot of stuff that I love about trailers. Gets me super excited about the story that's going on in the original Innistrad. Maybe it doesn't get me too excited about the cards because nothing's really described about like specific characters or anything like that outside of Avacyn, which hasn't come yet. But like Soren is a character that is front and center and makes me excited for him, but maybe I'm not too excited about the cards in the set themselves. But I'm really, really excited about the story. Like, I want to learn more about what the hell's going on in Innistrad. What's causing it to plunge into darkness? What's keeping it from its balance? Why is Soren looking for his quote-unquote creation, his angel? What is that? What does that mean? So, in that sense, I love it. I'm going to give this... Man, I'm going to put it up with A. I loved Innistrad. I loved the original Innistrad so much. I'm gonna put it at A tier. It's a over 10-year-old trailer. It still looks good. It still hits home a lot of the points that you want to see about a trailer. Maybe the voice acting could have been a little bit more spicy. Maybe it could have hit that crescendo right when you needed it to, or maybe not fall so far flat at the very end and not really it kind of like ended on a whimper. I'm gonna say A because I love Innistrad. I know people are going to be they're shocked by this. I see C's, I see D's. People just don't like it, But you know what, guys? I really, really did like it. Yeah, none of these are awful. They really aren't. So now I'm just kind of like gauging them between each other. I don't know if any sets are going to be... I don't know if any set's going to be C, honestly. But I'm going to put Dark Ascension at A. Because of this, it brings so much nostalgia, and it still looks good to this day, even in that 2D art style. That can be a universal animation style that could last forever. Sure, the 3D ones look a little bit better, but look a little bit more technically advanced, I should say. Not better, just technically more advanced. So let's go ahead and do Dominaria. Let's do Dominaria next, all right? I know I am definitely letting my fond memories and nostalgia kind of guide my weight in these rankings. But hey, this is a personal rank, I want you guys to put your own ranks out there when I'm done with this. You guys can have the link. Have at it. Make your own rankings and let me see where these fall for you, right? So let's go ahead. We're going into Dominaria. Modern day storytelling, modern day trailer. Karn daddy, Karn baby. He ain't just a robot. He's a voice actor. All right. Let's go ahead and pull that up.
How many times can you rebuild from apocalypse? On Dominaria, we've almost lost count. As we celebrate a world reborn, darkness is growing. Each day wasted brings us closer to ruin. I've lived through this cycle, and I know this time it will be different. Together,
That's a short one. Let's go over Dominaria's set trailer. I was a little bit disappointed when I first saw this trailer when it debuted. So Karn's voice acting is very weird. I know what they're trying to go with. It's a robotic voice, but it's so deep and Optimus Prime-y. You know what I mean? Really could have done a little bit better job, maybe toning down the roboticness and the edginess of the voice acting for Karn here. Because Karn is a really empathetic, caring type character. Maybe not so robotic. They have a lot of emotion in a lot of their scenes. Maybe that could have been explored a little bit. Obviously, he cares about Dominaria, wants to protect it, all this kind of stuff. I do like the dialogue, though. Like, the voice acting might not have been great, but the dialogue was pretty good. I love how they make a reference to the amount of apocalypses that have occurred in Dominaria's history. And the fact that we're facing yet another one, even though it wasn't that big of a threat. It wasn't like the Eldrazi came to Dominaria. It was more like, hey, there's a demon and some, rogue cabal people. Dominaria has been through way worse. That's all I gotta say. Dominaria has been through way worse than this. That being said, Karn does pay homage to a lot of the old stuff that happened in Dominaria without being bogged down by it. At the same time, we don't get a clear idea of what the story is in Dominaria. We see a picture of a demon, we see some animations of the Cabal, but really we don't get a whole lot here. We really don't. It's a shorter trailer, and the animations look fantastic. They really do. This is one of the better animated trailers I've seen. The transition of a location on Dominaria and Karn's hand kind of going over the map as he has his hand on the globe of Dominaria is really cool transition. But that's not enough for me to love this trailer. I think for a set like Dominaria, which was really fun, really unique, and a world that has so much history to it, I think it would have been better set to have a little bit more done with it. Beautiful animation, but not a lot of conveyance of the story, and it kind of doesn't make you want to look more into it. It kind of just comes off as a very generic story. Like, oh, it's just a generic romp through Dominaria. When it should have been a lot more. It should have been something that played off of its history, but also provided a path to the future, the story of that set. I'm going to go ahead and say this is our first C-tier trailer, simply because the bar was set really high for a set like Dominaria. First off, amazing set. I actually wasn't prepared for how much I loved the limited environment in Dominaria. I could not get enough of it. Absolutely stellar. But at the same time, I had no idea what to expect from its story, and its trailer didn't make me want to learn more about it. It was more like I was forced to learn more about it because I had no real starting point. So yeah, they could have done a lot more with a world as important as Dominaria for our return after years of absences on that plane, but didn't really deliver what I was expecting in terms of a trailer. So we're going to leave it at C. Alright guys, moving on, we got Dragon Maze. Dragon Maze, Ral Zarek. Let's go ahead and throw that up.
Guilds of Ravnica. The dragon Niv Mizzet has come to a decision. Your aggressions threaten our city and risk all-out war. To quell these conflicts, the Izzet will include you in our grand project. The Fire Mind has discovered an ancient maze that winds through our world. It passes through all 10 hallowed guild gates, from Selesnia's welcoming arch to the dungeon door of Rakdos.
Love that.
Niv Mizzet invites you to complete the maze's path, and to choose a champion to traverse it. Warrior or diplomat, sorcerer or brute. Choice is yours. Running the maze will be treacherous, deadly. Your fellow guilds will use every resource to stop you. And I am no exception. But you will send your champions, because solving the maze will yield a prize that will change our world forever. One being will rule the guilds of Ravnica.
All right, guys, right out the gate, this is going to be such a controversial pick because I know people are going to be against this, but this was an amazing trailer. I think Ral Zarek's voice actor was actually perfect. We can gripe about a lot of the voice acting in some of these trailers, but this is exactly how I believed a voice actor would convey a character like Ral Zarek. Very snarky, just amazing. They had fun with this. They really, really had a great time making this trailer. And not to mention, it does an amazing job of compelling the story and leaving a mystery for you to want to learn more about in Dragon's Maze. So, Dragon's Maze, as I said, obviously not fantastic. It was like the weird middle child of an expansion or of a block, so we get it. But the trailer itself really begs the question, what is going on with this maze? But Ral Zarek, as the narrator, at least explains enough about it to make you know what you're running in the set and makes you want to learn more. It makes you excited about the set itself. It makes you want to say, hey, who am I going to pick? Who am I going to draft that's going to run the maze for my guild? What guild am I going to like? You know, am I going to be in the Welcoming Arts of the Selesnya or the Dungeon Door of Rakdos? It compares a lot of guilds to one another. Well, it compares a couple guilds to one another. It gives you a taste of the differences between the two. And it gives you an idea and a glimpse at the people that are going to be the characters, the legendary creatures that are involved in this set. And what they're going to be doing, the part they play in this story. That they're the guild runners of the maze. And they're a part of different facets of the guilds. Diplomats, warriors, brutes. It's really, really cool. So, all that being said, you guys are going to hate this. But this is an S tier trailer. From the voice acting of Ral Zarek and how snarky he is and how I envision his character in the lore, to the descriptions of the guilds, to the descriptions of the event going on in that set, and leaving just enough for you to want to know what is going on here. What's at the end of the maze? Who's going to win the maze? All of that stuff leads me to say that this is an S-ranked, S-tier trailer. It really is. Really, really is. Yes, we're grading the trailers, not the set. Anyone who's confused, don't worry. Dragon's Maze isn't an S-tier set. I get that. You know, Born of the Gods is probably not a B-tier set. Let's just say. Alright, so with that one out of the way, we are moving on to the Tarkir block with Dragons of Tarkir. Let's go ahead, get that plugged in, ready to watch. Whew, jumps out at you.
Our world of Tarkir was once a tomb. A graveyard for dragons, hunted and killed by the ancient Khans. But I was given a chance to change Tarkir's fate. I traveled back before the dragons died, and tipped the scales of history. When I returned to my time, I found you, Ugin, alive. The dragon tempest never ceased. Dragonkind never died out. The Khans fell. And in their place rose 5 elder dragons. The Dragon Lords claimed their rightful place in command of the world. 5 new dragon clans grew around them, forging a new history from the old. This is our world now, Ugin. This is our Tarkir. Where once the clans fought the dragons, now the dragons and the clans are one. I too have changed. I've thrown aside my own past. I'm a curiosity now, an orphan of time. But now, Tarkir is the world I've always longed for. Now, I fly with dragons!
Okay. I see you, Sarkhan Vol. So, Dragons of Tarkir is a very strange set. and a very strange block with a very strange story. So this block was always going to have a hard time conveying its story to the public outside of the written material because it is very convoluted and there's a lot of timey-wimey nonsense. Sarkon's voice acting, fantastic. The narration's great. Dialogue is way too heavy. They're obviously trying to explain a lot and give a lot of context here, and for a set like this, it really kind of required it. Because no one knew that Sarkon Vault was going back in time. No one knew why the Dragons of Tarkir finally or reappeared after so much time, after the Khans of Tarkir block, and why the dragons are now ruling. You know, there was a big disconnect between these two sets. Like, it completely did a 180, and there was really no explanation for it outside of this trailer and, of course, the written material. You know, but a trailer is trying to convey all that to a layman who may not be so involved in the story. So, watching this, you get your hand held through the entire thing. You really, from point A to point B, Sarkon Vault is telling you what's going on and how it happened. It goes into everything from the world itself with the dragon clans, the people growing up around them, and the dragon lords, to what he did personally with the whole going back in time. Doesn't say how, which leaves a lot of people confused, but hey, he goes about letting you know what he did, maybe not why he did it, but kind of why he did it. He wanted the world to be filled with dragons. He really hates humans, apparently. He hates his own kind. He's just not a fan of people, and he was so upset that they killed all the dragons that he went back in time to make dragons subjugate all of humankind. Yeah, he is a dragon weeb. He loves his dragon scalies. Is that it? Scalies? The reptile version of furries. Internet, let me know, because that is what he is nonetheless. Even at the end of the trailer, he straight up turns into a dragon. He says, "I fly with dragons." So kind of cheesy, kind of convoluted. It's a tough set to make a trailer around to get people excited without literally explaining everything that happened in it. So I'm going to go ahead right now. This is, again, a C tier trailer. It does a good job of conveying the story, but it does too good of a job of explaining the story. It's too wordy. It's a word salad. If you didn't understand the story before, you're not going to get a great idea afterwards because there's a lot of plot holes and stuff like that. But at the same time, it doesn't give you much of a reason to want to read more about it because you know what Sarkon did and you know what's established. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like a very conveying. It doesn't feel like a very inspired trailer, if that makes sense. Animation was good. It was a good mix between the 3D animation. Sarkon Vault actually looked really good at the end there, like as an early 3D animation. But at the same time, it just didn't do a great job of making me want to learn more about that whole block story. Would I put it above the Dominaria trailer? Yes. So if you're looking at like this rank and if you want to see which one's better, like here, this would be what I'm kind of looking at. I would even say Dragon's Maze is better than Battle for Zendikar, but we're looking at this. Like, Dragons of Tarkir was better than Dominaria, honestly. So, this is what I'm going to say. This is where I'm going to put Dragons of Tarkir. And let's go on to Eldritch Moon. Let's go pop in their trailer and see what we got. Creepy as Innistrad should be.
You fear the dark.
Oh, I do.
But here, it's inescapable. Remember where you are. This is Innistrad, where light only exists to cast shadow. Those shadows are twisting into threats so absolute, so relentless.
Ouch.
That you'll have to keep fighting them just to survive. But survival is for the uninspired.
True.
Victory is for the strong.
Sounded a lot like
And the
Sylvanas there.
strong are willing to embrace the darkness. This is my domain. So fall in, soldier. As the true enemy rises. Darkness is your only hope.
So if you're looking for a trailer that really, really plays off a lot of creepiness, you're not going to find anything better than Eldritch Moon. It even blows out all the other, the original Innistrad set trailers out of the water in terms of creepiness and ambiance of, you know, bringing the world of Innistrad to a cinematic medium. I think the voice actor for Liliana Vess was really, really good there. When I was watching it, this is the first time I've watched it in a while, the voice actor sounded a lot like the voice actor for Sylvanas Windrunner from World of Warcraft. If anyone's familiar with Sylvanas' character from the trailers and animations of World of Warcraft, lots of similar vibes there. Very similar vibes in terms of character. Being a necromancer, raising up the undead, you know, using that darkness as a force for good in a sense. You know, maybe you don't like this type of magic, but hey, it's the type of magic that's going to allow you to survive this calamity. It does a great job of conveying what's going on in Innistrad. Laying down, hey, we know Innistrad is a creepy world and darkness is all around us, but even this darkness is being twisted. That the rules of Innistrad are changing. And it really brings it all to a crescendo at the revelation of Emrakul looming over Innistrad, and Liliana taking her place firmly in the story as someone opposing Emrakul, showing the other heroes of the Gatewatch falling under Emrakul's relentless assault on them. Liliana stands as someone who will provide them the resources they need to beat Emrakul back. Now, that's a great way of setting the stage for the story. That's not what happens really in the story at all. Liliana plays a much lesser role in the story. You know, she does summon her zombies and she does use them to defend the Gatewatch. But at the end of the day, it's the likes of like Jace and Tamio and Nissa. Those are like the real heroes, the ones that really, really like fight against Emrakul itself. Still, Liliana Vess, very, very interesting character in this trailer. And it makes you want to know more about what's going on. It makes you want to learn about Eldritch Moon, its history, and the Eldrazi. All of that wrapped into one. It's really, really good. Yes, people simp for Liliana Vess really, really hard. So anything involving Liliana Vess kind of gets skewed a little bit higher than maybe some other trailers, but I'm going to go ahead and say this is an A tier trailer. And honestly, it's right up there, right after Aether Revolt. It might not do a great job of making you, like, understanding the story that actually takes place in Eldritch Moon, but it does a good job of at least setting the groundworks of what the set is looking to accomplish. Bring on a creepy feel with an Eldrazi twist. And you know the players involved here. You know Chandra Nalaar. You know Gideon Jora. And then, of course, you know Emrakul and the Eldrazi and Liliana Vess and her zombie horde. So, really, really good set. Really good aesthetic and mood set in this trailer. Really good. Gotta give it an A tier. It's really, really good. All right, let's go ahead and move to Gatecrash.
The guilds of Ravnica continue plotting, so myopic in their quest for power that they're unaware of our machinations. Under my stewardship, House Dimir will assume dominion over this city. Toward that end, the Simic's ability to evolve and adapt could prove an asset. They breed new predators without thought to the prey they might hunt. And the marginalized rule. The clan's explosive violence can provide the finest cover for our covert dealings. The Orzhov Syndicate skillfully restored the facade of piety, but are driven as ever by base pursuits of wealth and power. Throughout, my Dimir agents hear all and see all, gathering secrets from the shadows, never attracting the attention of those righteous enforcers known as the Boros Legion. Its platoons will be kept busy with other, less subtle crimes. My path will be made clear. No one of this world can stop me.
All right. Gatecrash. So this is another trailer it's really served well by its voice actor and its dialogue. The narration is, of course, the guildmaster of the Dimir, Lavaz, and you know he talks in a manner that you would expect a shape-shifting underground spy to kind of talk. Now, I would say that in terms of the story, it doesn't do a great job of explaining what's going on here. So in this block, it had a very set story, and the Dimir had their role in it, and I think this kind of gives people the wrong impression that the Dimir are a bigger threat in the story than they actually turned out to be. Obviously, the Dimir want to rule Ravnica just like every other guild wants to have more power on Ravnica. But in this trailer, it makes him seem like he is like the antagonist, like the pure like evil motivating factor in the entire block, which just isn't the case. Lazav. Look, I am always going to get that name wrong, guys. My brain, it cannot make the letters turn into the word and the pronunciation I want it to be. Whenever I do a video on this guy, I hate it because I have to have it written out in front of me and literally posted right below my webcam so I can pronounce it correctly. So, I apologize. I'm really bad at it. So, I know it's annoying. And I need to get better at it, but the synapses in my brain, they don't connect that way. All right, so what do I like about this? I loved all of this set's trailers because of how they conveyed the guilds, what they do, and how they interact with the overall feeling of Ravnica. You know, this was the first time, even though this was like a return to Ravnica, a lot of players were just introduced to this world for the first time. And I think they knew that Ravnica was going to be a bigger thing. We were going to be visiting this plane a lot. So they wanted to lay down the groundwork for new players coming into the game, not experiencing Ravnica before, exactly the flavor that was going on. And as a result, there was a lot of fervor with a lot of players on my guild, my colors, you know, the tagline of this trailer and over the course of the entire block. You know, my color, my guild. It's great. So it really pushed guild identity onto the player base, and I think that really served the story really well. I'm going to go ahead and say this wasn't the best, though. It did a great job of adding in those world-building elements, explaining the guilds and stuff like that, especially the Dimir. And the voice acting and dialogue specifically to that character was fantastic. It really was. But it doesn't... not a great job of conveying the overall story of the block, what's going on here. It just kind of like drops Gideon Jorah there too, as the narrator says, oh, no one of this world can stop me. Ooh, Planeswalker can stop him. But hey, he doesn't really get stopped. Not really. And like, Gideon doesn't play a whole big role in this story either, really. So it's kind of all a little misleading. It introduces characters that overall aren't super impactful. It kind of like pulls you in a direction what the story isn't actually going in. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go with Chad on this one. I'm going to say this is a B tier. I'm going to say it's a B tier trailer. It's not terrible. I love the world building involved in it. And again, I think it's worse than Born of the Gods, but a little bit better than Amonkhet. I love the way that they describe the guilds and everything like that. But it does really... Actually, you know what? This is a C tier. I'm going to pull back and not let my nostalgia impact this decision, because this is a C tier trailer, actually, because it conveys a story that doesn't actually take place in the novels. It just doesn't. Voice acting's great, dialogue's great, world building's great, but it conveys a story that isn't really there. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a C. If people are encouraged to read into the story by this trailer, they're going to find that this trailer doesn't really have a big connection to it. So I'm going to say it's a C. Okay, let's go ahead and go on. We are getting into the next set here. I believe this is Guilds of Ravnica. So we're going from original Ravnica to the we're going from the Return to Ravnica to the Return to Ravnica.
I need to tell you a secret that will change Ravnica forever.
Land cries out. We have eyes everywhere. Lines are being drawn as we speak. Whose side are you on?
Control the secrets, and you control the cities.
Death is just the next step. You first.
Steady! Steady! Now!
The balance of Ravnica is about to change, and change is good for us.
All right. I actually have forgotten about this trailer because it's on the shorter side, no doubt, and it does a good job at conveying the feeling of this set, the mystery behind it, and the guilds kind of wondering what the hell's going on, but it really doesn't do a lot outside of that. There is no main narrator, and that's okay. You know, it's a cacophony of kind of like whispers. The inner monologues of the guilds. Lines are being drawn. Whose side are you on? What's going on? What are we going to do? Where do you stand? Where? And that is the best thing I can say about this. I like how the Izzet was literally just described as an insane lizard folk on a hover disc or something like that. But it really doesn't lay down the groundwork for what the story is. It doesn't do a great job of conveying to the player which guilds are where in the story. I'm going to go ahead and say that Guilds of Ravnica is a C. I know we've had other Ravnica sets kind of go into the guilds, and you kind of really didn't need to do that again because that would be a little bit redundant. But this really doesn't give us much of anything outside of a mystery. You know, the guilds are preparing for something, and everyone's in the city whispering, wondering what's next. There's like a feeling of unsettledness that's overtaking Ravnica, and you as the watcher of this trailer kind of sense that as well. You're wondering, where does everyone stand? Where am I going to stand? Where's my guild going to stand? But it's a C because it doesn't do more than that. It invokes a certain feeling, but it stops there. And as a trailer, it doesn't get you really super excited about the story. It doesn't really get you super excited about the set either. So there's a lot of conflict that happens in the trailer. Like you see in the video, in the trailer itself, people are fighting one another, but you have no idea why. So we're going to leave it at C, and we're going to move on to Hour of Devastation. All right, so talk about short trailers. Whew, that's the shortest one we've seen so far. It's 38 to 40 seconds long. It really doesn't do a lot to explain the story. There's no narration involved. There's a couple of texts that pop up. Amonkhet, the set that came before this, also had a problem with conveying the actual story that's taking place there. This kind of continues with that trend. We really only get to see snippets of the shots of the Nicol Bolas influenced gods, the bug gods, destroying Amonkhet, zombies running around, the the other gods being plagued by the bug gods, that kind of thing, but it really, really does not give us a lot to chew off of. It does reveal Nicol Bolas being in the set, which kind of gets you excited and kind of makes you wonder what the hell is Nicol Bolas doing on Amonkhet. And that's all well and good, but it really, really falls flat on all the other categories that I'm using to kind of rank a good trailer. And length does not need to be a factor in that. I think you can have a short trailer that still does a lot to make you want to read the story, but it really doesn't help it. You know, you don't have as long a time to convey an idea, convey a thought, convey a story, obviously. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Hour of Devastation, especially for how cool the story was there, the defeat of the Gatewatch, this really just focuses on the world of Amonkhet rather than the storyline involved there. This is going to be the first D. This is the first D tier trailer. And I'm actually going to go a step further. This is an F tier trailer. Hour of Devastation is an F tier trailer because it's not really a trailer. As we're talking about here in the chat, it's more of a teaser. It's more of a cutscene than anything else. It's really just like an ad placement rather than anything else. It's not a really full-blown trailer. So in terms of it being trailer quality, I'm going to give it an F. It just is. So let's just leave it there. If you guys disagree, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. But honestly, it didn't give you enough. It didn't give you almost anything. We're going to go with F tier. And next, we got Ikoria, which I am going to have to mute because I'm pretty sure I'm going to get DMCA'd because of the song choice in that set trailer, if I remember correctly. I know you guys can't hear anything right now, but you're not missing much. Don't worry. Cringe nod. Oh, yeah. She's a badass. Can't you tell? It's a good cat, though. It's a good boy. If you guys can slightly hear it, I think that's okay. We'll see. We'll see if I'll get DMCA'd. Good boy. All right, let's go. All right. So I'm sorry you guys couldn't hear that, but maybe you could hear it just a little bit, but hope it's not enough for me to get a strike on my channel. All right. Let's talk about Ikoria because I was thoroughly unimpressed by this trailer when it was first released, and I'm still thoroughly unimpressed by it today. Now, I'm not saying I'm unimpressed from a technical standpoint. I think the trailer looks amazing, you know? They could easily turn this. This is how I would imagine a Netflix series looking. It looks amazing. I really love the feel of it. There is a lot of nice action involved here. You know, it's Vivian Reed versus one monster, and she's not really doing a great job killing it. But this is where we start to see some of the trailers in Magic the Gathering harp more on the cinematic quality of the trailer rather than holding true to what's going on in the actual story being conveyed here. So if people are aware of the story that actually happens in Ikoria, the Ozolith, that great green stone, doesn't bring monsters back to life, which is kind of the feeling you get in this scene. You don't know why the monsters are attacking or anything like that, but it does make you want to learn more about the world. It really does. This is a trailer that really pulls on you and pulls you forward to want to learn more about this world and the story taking place here. That being said, there is a cringe element here. I'm not gonna lie, I cringe a little bit when I watch this trailer because they really tried to make Vivian Reed seem like this, you know, ultra badass who is ready to fight anything. And really, that's not her character at all. You know, if you read about her character and you kind of understand what motivates her and all that kind of stuff, she is not Sephirius. That rock specifically wasn't the Ozolith, but it's like connected to the Ozolith. It's supposed to be the crystals that like protect the citizens from monsters of Ikoria, but it really, you know, so that it makes it even more confusing on why it made this bug monster come back to life. You know, the Ozolith is a specific stone somewhere else in the wild of Ikoria. It might connect to these rocks, but they originally were built to keep the monsters away, kind of thing. Yeah, so Vivian Reed isn't a show-off. She has strong convictions, but she's not a gallivanting, you know, cocky hero like that. It's a bad trailer because it mixes, you know, Bad Reputation, the song Bad Reputation, with this action scene and trying to make Vivian Reed look like a character that she just isn't in the story. It makes me cringe every single time. And this is going to be a D tier trailer because I'm not going to put it at F because it's so technically amazing looking. It really does look good. And if they made a Netflix series that looked just like that, I would love it. It would be a very high quality product. This was a high quality product, but the mix of the, you know, real life music with the not great, not accurate depiction of Vivian Reed's character and not really connecting well to the actual story that happens in Ikoria itself, I'm going to give it a D. They put way too much emphasis on the cinematic quality of this and didn't really hold true to the source material at all here. Let's give it a D. All right, so let's move on. We got the original Innistrad. The original Innistrad set trailer.
I have entered an accursed plane, where even death is not absolute. A foul land where nothing seems right, where abominations run rampant, preying on a terrified populace. A fitting refuge for one as venomous as Liliana Vess.
Venomous indeed.
This consort of demons has damned me.
She is consort.
Chain veil, and she will revoke it, or she will die. Should I prove victorious, perhaps I'll aid those who would stand against this darkness. But time is short, and I feel her curse consuming me. And my greatest fear is that I may relish the monstrosity I could become. Ascend into darkness.
All right. Guys, I gotta be honest here. I'm gonna let nostalgia take a hold of me again. This set trailer was really, really good. I love that a lot. There's a lot to like about it because maybe Garrick's voice actor wasn't the best, but this was really early on in the cinematic trailers for Magic the Gathering, so maybe they could have done a little bit better if they had a little bit more time or experience. But the way that Garrick was written was really, really good up until the end when he said, you know, he might stick around and help people. Probably not what Garrick would do, but he's chasing Liliana Vess down because he is cursed with the Chain Veil. I just made a video about Garrick earlier today that I'm going to release on the channel soon, so I'm in Garrick mode. I'm a Garrick fanboy. I love Garrick. Any more Garrick that we can jam into the Magic story, I will love. And this really got me my first taste of Garrick's character right before he got completely corrupted. And, you know, we know where he goes from that to the apex predator that we knew him for a long time. So this does a great job of conveying what Innistrad is as a plane. Remember, this is the first set that introduced Innistrad. We as players know Innistrad for what it is now, but this was players seeing it for the very, very, very first time. And Innistrad, you know, this trailer really hit home the fact that this is a macabre world, dark, dangerous, all that kind of stuff. It explained the monsters that you would be facing, you know, how death isn't absolute in this world, and someone like Garrick feels very uncomfortable being in a place like Innistrad, but someone like Liliana Vess, who he also describes pretty perfectly as the quote-unquote like antagonist of this story, taking more of a protagonist stance in the narration. But he does a great job of laying down the groundwork of what Innistrad is, what Innistrad looks to achieve, the aesthetic of Innistrad, as well as explaining the story that's going on here. It's really rare to find a set trailer that does everything. Everything that I'm looking for. It gets me hyped up for the trailer. It gets me hyped up for the story. It gets me hyped up for the cards. It gets me hyped up for the characters involved here. It gives me breadcrumbs of the story, you know, Liliana versus Garrick. Big conflict there, while also sharing a lot about what the world is and what it's going to bring to the game. So this is going to be a slam S tier pick for me. It really does an awesome job of bringing all the points together, and just overall was a great polished trailer. Awesome. This is our first introduction to Liliana Vess. Yes. Yeah. If you give Garrick more speaking roles, please do. Please do. Just, I wish he was gonna star in the Netflix series. Like I wish he was the star of the Netflix series. I just do. But it looks like we're going with Chandra Nalaar. But hopefully he makes an appearance in it. You know what I mean? Hopefully Garrick makes an appearance. That would be sick. Alright, guys. Let's go ahead and move on to the next set. We have Ixalan.
We've all heard the stories. Whoever seeks the Golden City never returns. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't scare that easy. They talk about the unknown, but the unknowns never dealt with us. The toughest bunch of lying, stinking thieves this world's ever seen. No matter who or what gets in our way, every single time we come through. Remember
Colossal Dreadmaw.
Pete? He outran the jaws of death. Nearly. About Morgan Loxley using her head like that. Who knew she'd be such a natural at diplomacy? And even that mutinous dog, Bedlam Boggs. I personally made sure he was first to lay hands on our plunder. But enough talk. Let's show this island what we're made of. So raise them high, lowlife. It's time to brave the unknown.
Okay, so Ixalan trailer is middle of the pack for me. We really don't know what's going on in the story outside of Vraska leading a bunch of pirates to look for the Golden City. That's really all that's kind of conveyed here. But maybe it's not trying to convey the story so much as it's trying to convey the world of Ixalan and the adventure that's going to be taking place there. You know, it really has a sense of adventure to it. You know, Vraska going in and telling a bunch of tales of various characters that we don't see in the story, and they don't really play much, they don't play a role whatsoever, but they do tease you about the adventures that have happened and that are to come in Ixalan. So with that, I think it does its job serviceably, you know? Vraska's voice actor is weird. I don't know what Vraska is supposed to sound like, but I don't think that she would sound like this. Really kind of, you know, could sound a little bit more piratey, honestly. Could kind of really slam home and sell the fact that this is a pirate swashbuckling explorer kind of set. Really could have been a little bit more heavy on the pirate lingo. You know, this is a fun trailer. It's not really laying the groundwork for the story. It does a little bit, but it really leaves a lot to be desired. And it goes on a couple tangents that really have nothing to do with the story whatsoever. But if you're going to be a fun trailer, you better just go full ham with it, you know? And I think it almost gets there, but it doesn't get me excited about the story. It may get me excited about the set, and I actually love Ixalan as a set. It was a lot of fun. But it's average. There's nothing special about it going on. And I'm going to say that's C tier. I'm going to say that's a C tier trailer. Look at this. Vraska on 2 C tier trailer box arts. You know what? I'll do C. C for Cutlass. It fits. Really wondering what could qualify as a B here, in my personal opinion. We'll see if we get a couple more B tier trailers. Yas. Before we get into the next trailer, it's Journey into Nyx. Can you guys guess what I'm going to give Journey into Nyx? I know there's a couple people out there that have already said it. They're excited for me to watch Journey into Nyx. What do you think I'm going to give it? If you haven't seen it yet, you're in for a goddamn treat. Let's go ahead.
When does a hero's journey begin? The moment you step outside the safety of your home? Or when you realize the fight has just begun? Is it when you comprehend how small you are compared to the vastness of what threatens to destroy you? When did you learn that the journey isn't a lonely road, and you didn't have to face the darkness alone? Lesser souls lose heart and lay down their swords. But a champion risks everything for the greater good. Take comfort in this. True heroes never die. The sun rises, the sun sets. But we all have to cross the river someday. Even her. Resign yourself to your glorious fate. I am coming to claim my prize.
Could you feel the chills? Because they're all over my body right now. So Journey into Nyx, I don't think this is going to be a surprise to a lot of people, is probably my favorite set trailer of all time. Of course, I have watched all the trailers growing up, getting excited for sets, everything like that. Journey into Nyx just hits differently for me. It just does. The voice acting mixed with the sound design of the trailer, everything is just amazing. The voice actor that they got for Erebos, I don't know who they are, but honestly wins an MTG Oscar because that was a really good performance. It conveys the story that's happening in Journey into Nyx really well, leading up into the culmination of the entire Theros block, honestly. But it's told through the perspective... Oops, sorry about that. It's told through the perspective of a god, Erebos, whose stake in the fight happening between Elspeth and Xenagos is resigned to his domain, the world of death, the underworld, and claiming Elspeth, a true hero, as a soul in the underworld, where she stayed up until Theros Beyond Death, which we'll look at that trailer in a minute. Still, with Erebos revealing the end scene of Elspeth and Ajani fighting Xenagos in the story, we knew that was heading. We knew the story was heading in that direction. It's really, really good. It lays down a lot. It tells you Elspeth's journey without explicitly telling you Elspeth's journey. It gives you a sense of her fate without telling you her fate. It's how I would love a lot of sets to be designed, but it has to fit a certain feel, right? And I think Journey into Nyx was that set that could take this sort of approach and be very successful with it. The voice acting, the sound design alone, Journey into Nyx is an S tier trailer. Top tier, S+ trailer in my opinion. Does a great job of conveying and making the player base want to know what is going to happen. It has a huge cliffhanger involved in the trailer itself. It teases enough, and it just combines everything with the sound design and the visual aesthetic perfectly. All right, let's get into Kaladesh.
People of Kaladesh, whether you hail from distant fields or greenbelt towns or from our great city centers, this is your time. The Kaladesh Inventors Fair invites you, our best and brightest, to share your ingenuity with the world. As an official entrant, you may fuel your creativity with unrestricted Aether access.
Aether Hub.
Demonstrate that you can channel the Aether into bold, new creations. Showcase your ideas, your inventions, your genius. In this time when anything is buildable, you can invent your tomorrow today!
All right, Kaladesh. So that was a fun trailer. You know, it might not do a lot of... it doesn't do a lot in terms of conveying the story that takes place in Kaladesh and that block. But it does a good job of bringing you into the world of Kaladesh. Remember, this is the first time that players were introduced to this plane, so it really laid down the groundworks of what this world is about. It's about inventions. It's about Aether and using that magic to create magical artifacts and, you know, that kind of thing. It's really, really good. It's fun. It has a fun flavor to it. You know, Saheeli Ray is in it, even though nothing's really said about her. It's not a great trailer in getting you hyped up. It's a great trailer that allows you to see yourself in the world of Kaladesh. Good world building there. The Inventors Fair, that's the main set of this trailer. It is the main set of the story for the most part. It's part of the story, but it's not as huge of a part of the story as this trailer would kind of let you to believe. But it's more like it brings the player into the world of the Inventors Fair and places them squarely into that world. You know? It makes you want to think, what am I going to make? What kind of artifacts can I make with this Aether? You know, that sort of thing. It inspires a lot of world building. And it inspires fantasy in the player base. That being said, though, it's not a super hype trailer. You know, I'm not saying every trailer has to be hype, but this one really didn't have a lot of hype to it. It was basically just an announcer saying, hey, you're invited to the Inventors Fair. Come check it out. You can build stuff and use Aether for it. I'm going to go ahead and say that Kaladesh itself is a B tier trailer. It looks beautiful and it's fun and it has good world building, but it really doesn't do as much as like Aether Revolt did in terms of the, you know, making you want to know about the story, getting invested in it, into it and stuff like that. It pulls you into the world of Kaladesh, and the Aether Revolt trailer makes you want to learn more about the story. So they kind of go hand in hand there, but Kaladesh is a little bit weaker in my opinion. Still, it's a little bit better than Amonkhet's trailer. I'm gonna put Kaladesh above Amonkhet in the B tier ranking. All right, let's move on. A more modern trailer, Kaldheim. Let's see how that kind of stacks up against some of the previous old school trailers.
Come on!
Ooh, I hope this song isn't gonna hit me on the DMCA.
Go take me up. Go!
Help us, please.
Good little Tybalt kiss. All right. So you guys, oh man, Kaldheim. So I have a lot of things to talk about in terms of Kaldheim's story. Well, Kaldheim's story and in connection with this trailer. So this is the most egregious example I can give, much in the vein of Ikoria, where the story just is not even near present in the trailer, and the trailer actually contradicts a lot of the story itself. Music was cool. Obviously, they're going for the heavy metal Viking vibe. Fine, that's cool. Hopefully, I don't get striked for playing that. I don't know if that's a real sanctioned song from an artist or what have you, or something that Wizard of the Coast had made. But either way, it was a cool trailer. Animations, of course, were gorgeous. Again, Netflix series. Kaya does not get her axes from what's her face, the blind lady of the. What you call them? I don't even remember. What was her name? Inga? Inga. She does not get her axes from Inga. Inga never ever faces Solfi or whatever, the wolf gods, the cosmos beasts, the wolf cosmos beasts. That never happens in the story. The troll, the scene where Kaya is fighting the trolls, it doesn't end like that. It doesn't end with the trolls stopping and going into the portal with Tybalt. That never happens. That random guy that Kaya saves is not in the story. She tells him to go save the others. That's not part of the story. The idea that Kaya can literally teleport from one place to another because of her power is not something that happens. That's not in her skill set. That's not a power that she has. She cannot teleport. She can only phase through objects. But in the trailer, she's seen teleporting twice. Once to get down on the ground behind a troll, and then again to get up into a tree. That doesn't happen. Technically, this is a very good looking trailer. The sound design's good, voice acting's fine, but it's confusing. I don't know what the hell's going on, and if you've read the story, you would also be incredibly confused. Because it just doesn't connect. There's like a huge disconnect there. It's like they hired a team to make a trailer, basically just gave them a rough outline and said, have at it, and had almost no input on what they saw during its development. I didn't like this. It's a bad direction that the trailers are starting to take, where they're starting to disconnect the trailer from the actual story to such a degree that it doesn't even reflect the same product. Still though, it's very technically good looking. I'm going to go ahead and say that Kaldheim, because of what it did there, it's a D tier trailer, right with Ikoria, for the same reasons. You know, Ikoria had way more cringe factor than Kaldheim, and Kaldheim does have Tybalt blowing a kiss. That's pretty good, I gotta say. But there is too much inconsistency between this trailer and what actually happens in Kaldheim's story that it doesn't do a good job. It gets you hyped up for the set. It really does. It gets you hyped up for the Viking sense. There's a lot of Viking imagery used here on purpose to kind of sell that selling point for the set and the plane. But at the end of the day, it doesn't do a great job of conveying the story. It conveys something completely different. So we're going to leave it at D tier. Let's move on to Cons of Tarkir.
Some were born to fight. Some were born to rule. I was never born at all. I returned home. My spirit torn between two dragons. One a tyrant. One a ghost. On my world of Tarkir, the dragons have been driven to extinction by the 5 warrior clans. The fierce Armad have conquered the wastes. My former clan of swift horses and swifter tempers. The monks of the Jeskai clan are masters of the mystic arts. Cunning, controlled, and disciplined. The fierce Tiber have come to dominate the icy frontier. Savage opponents with ferocious hearts. The Sultai and their undead servants rule a decadent empire. Ruthless serpents decked in stolen treasures. And the Avacyn have become unstoppable desert warriors. Enduring, loyal, and surprisingly hard to kill. This is the world that drew me back. A world that needs you. Torn by battle, trampled by clashing hordes, ruled by Khans.
Alright, so, Cons of Tarkir's trailer. It does a way better job of laying the groundwork of the story and the world of Tarkir than, obviously, Dragons of Tarkir did. Dragons of Tarkir was burdened with the responsibility of kind of explaining how we got from Khans to dragons with all the timey-wimey stuff, and Cons of Tarkir was open and free to explain more about the world itself, which the voice actor of Sarkhan Vol did a very good job. It pulls the listener and the watcher in immediately with that opening line. You know, some were born to rule, some were born to fight. I wasn't born at all. That instantly drags you into the story and the mystery behind Sarkhan Vol and his home of Tarkir. And then, of course, Tarkir goes down the list of all the clans and what they did. They killed off all the dragons, all that kind of stuff. And it explains a little bit more of what Sarkhan Vol is as a character, what he's driven by. The fact that he was tormented by an evil dragon, which we know is Nicobolus, but maybe a watcher is not familiar with that. And then he's listening to another voice, a dragon that's a ghost. He's not really sure what it is, but he's driven by that, and that brings him to Tarkir. So it's really, really, really cool to see a character explained himself kind of in this way, but not give away all the story and kind of leaves you on the edge of your seat. Sarkhan Vol himself in these trailers is really made to seem like someone had said in the chats, he seems like an edgelord. You know, It's kind of sad, kind of bewildered, all this kind of stuff. But Sarkhan Vault is a character who has gone through a lot of strife. He really has. He was tormented and basically a slave to Nicol Bolas and tormented him. And he just wanted to find a dragon that he could serve because he simps dragons so hard, as we kind of know from his character, that he was driven to serve a powerful being, and that just happened to be Nicol Bolas. And you don't really want to serve Nicol Bolas because serving Nicol Bolas never turns out great. But of course, that's not really conveyed well in the story, on the trailer, and it really shouldn't be. That's kind of like high-level lore stuff. This trailer was a lot of fun, though. Any trailer that kind of gives you a very cinematic response or cinematic explanation of, you know, the tribes, the color pairings and stuff like that, like on Ravnica, is something that I really, really enjoy. It adds a lot of flavor and world building here. It lets the player know, hey, here are the guilds, cons, whatever, that you can be a part of. Here's a brief description. Does this fit you? Is this something you're interested in? And I like that a lot. And it does lay down the groundwork for the story, and it does make you want to know more about the set and the world. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Khans of Tarkir's trailer is an A-tier trailer. All right, now we're getting into the real old stuff. We got new Phyrexia's trailer. All right, guys, so get ready for this. This is a classic.
All is not as it seems, for the struggle is far from over. In consuming our world, the infectors have become the infected. The heart of Mirrodin burns. Now we are one. Karn is coming, Savior.
Whew, okay. So new Phyrexia's trailer is, of course, one of the earlier trailers we see in Magic the Gathering's history, but man, does it really, really sell home what these trailers are intending to do and get you hyped up for a set. This is all the way back in 2011, guys. And really, the 2D animation is really good here. It really does. It really is. It's pretty great. The sound design is exactly what you expect from Phyrexians. The metalness, the foreign language that we actually see a little bit of in Kaldheim's story written out. Like this foreign language that you really can't even comprehend as being words or even a voice, but it comes through to some people. And of course, this is the rise of new Phyrexia, so you do have some resistant fighters there still. But you kind of get the sense that something is looming in the core of Mirrodin itself. And that, of course, is the Father of Machines, Karn, slowly getting completed into a full-fledged new Phyrexian deity almost. And I love that very end. The very end line there is like, you know, we wait upon our Savior. And then Karn says, or maybe just a Phyrexian says, Destroyer. And that really is what's at stake in this story and really, really pulls the watcher in throughout the entire thing. It's a short trailer. It's a short trailer, but like I said, length is not a requirement for a good trailer because this is a prime example of a trailer that's a little bit on the shorter side, but has so much content in it that just drags you in and makes you want to learn more. And of course, the Phyrexians are a super compelling enemy. It's a super compelling trailer to make you engage with the story. And I think that's what you're looking for. I'm going to give this new Phyrexian trailer an A ranking. I actually put it up there right in between Avacyn Restored and Dark Ascension. I like Avacyn Restored a little bit more because of nostalgia and I'm biased, but new Phyrexia's trailer was really, really sound for what it was and the time it was made. We have Ravnica Allegiance.
We are at the threshold of a new age.
Did you think death would free you from your obligation?
When the system fails, we will balance the scales.
All right, I cut it off a little bit early there, but I think you get the gist. So, Ravnica Allegiance, it has the same exact problem as Guilds of Ravnica had. It doesn't do anything for the story. And yeah, I know, we understand what the Ravnica is about. We understand the guilds, and a lot of players already know who their guilds are going into this, so maybe you don't have to explain it. But it doesn't tell you what's going on in the story. It just tells you, like, the Gruul are acting crazy. You know, it just has a bunch of random guild members talking about guild activities. It really doesn't, for me, it doesn't really compel me to learn more. It just is basically like a generic Ravnica trailer. Like, this is just a generic trailer for the plane of Ravnica almost. I'm going to go ahead and say that this falls a little bit flat. This is C tier. It's right with Guilds of Ravnica. It just doesn't do enough to pull you into the story, and it could literally just be a generic blanket trailer for Ravnica in general. Yeah, I'm going to say that's C. Alright, moving right into another Ravnica trailer. The first of the Ravnica trailers back in Return to Ravnica. This is Return to Ravnica. Let's go.
This is my city. My home. After years of searching, I've come to find a refuge from this life of endless turmoil. But of late, activities amongst the guilds of Ravnica has drawn my attention. The Azorius magistrates behave with impunity, imposing ever greater dictates upon the citizenry, while the Bacchanal of Rakdos has taken on an added fervor, giving me pause in light of other guild activities, such as those of the quietly powerful Selesnians, preparing themselves for something, and to what end? And the Golgari, providers of questionable sustenance. Their rot lies under the surface, for now. As for the Izzet, the mad thinkers, Ravnica's frenzied engineers, their activities have intensified, and more guilds remain. I sense another power at work. A potent mind I cannot identify. What force is at work here? And what does it mean for Ravnica?
Alright guys, obviously Ravnica needs no real introduction, but Return to Ravnica was, as I said earlier, the introduction of this plane to a lot of newer players and a newer generation of the game. So laying down the groundworks of the guilds involved in this set was really, really good. I love when the sets do that, at least when they do that in this super flavorful way. You know, Jace Beleren kind of going into it, seeing it from his perspective. I love when it's done with flavor rather than just saying what they're about. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go ahead and I really like Return to Ravnica's trailer. Like, I'm just going to say that. The voice acting for Jace Beleren could be a little bit more inspired, but it feels like what the telepath would sound like. You know? The mannerisms, the kind of dialogue, the tempo. He is a sad boy. You know, Jace Beleren is a kind of a sad boy. So he's talking about his home, his refuge, all this kind of stuff. This is how I would expect him to talk about Ravnica, honestly. And you know what? It's going to fall in the same category as a lot of the other Ravnica-inspired sets. Maybe not as good as Dragon's Maze, but it's not as bad as Gatecrash. So I'm going to say it's a B tier. It kind of splits the difference between Dragon's Maze and Gatecrash, but it's not quite A tier because it does a good job of conveying the guilds and what they are and everything like that. But it just leaves like a very, very, very small tease at the end saying that's another potent mind at work. What's going on here? And he just kind of generically says, ooh, all the guilds are kind of amping up a little bit. You know, it's a good baseline for what we get in the world of Ravnica, but not really too much more. I do like the voice acting of Jace Beleren, and the dialogue's good, and I love the flavorful way that the guilds are depicted. I always love that. So I'm just going to give it a solid B. It could be a little bit higher. It could be up in A tier, but just because it doesn't make you want to know. I mean, it leaves a mystery to the story that's taking place there, but it's not too much. It's just breadcrumbs. So I'm going to be confident in setting it at B. All right, guys, moving on. We have Scars of Mirrodin. So another oldie. All will be one, baby. All right, so Scars of Mirrodin for sure is a classic, of course. If you read the dialogue of the, tainted Phyrexian voice there, you can actually get a really good sense of what's going on. The idea that these monsters believe that, flesh is corruption, that they're offering immortality to the mortal beings of Mirrodin, that they're raising New Phyrexia, which is like the pinnacle of society. Of course, they're all very biased to their culture and everything like that. I know, it's weird to say culture in terms of Phyrexians, but yeah, you actually get a pretty good glimpse into the inner monologue of the Phyrexians in this, rather than just saying, hey, they're a threat, they're a monster, all this kind of stuff. This is like the groundwork of what a trailer can do in such a short amount of time that makes you want to learn more about it. Taking the perspective of the opposing force, of the antagonist, essentially. It's a great way to kind of make the player want to learn more about what's going on there. Does this thread have a point? Maybe they are good. Like, obviously they're not good, but it gives you a glimpse into something that you're maybe not initially thinking about when you look at the Phyrexians. You kind of just think of them as a big old threat, but this kind of gives you a little idea of what they're doing and why they're doing it. It gives you their perspective. I'm going to say this is an OG S tier trailer. It's short, it's sweet, but it gives you a lot to look forward to in the set and want to read more about the Phyrexians. It really jumpstarts people's obsession with the Phyrexians. We as a fan base love the Phyrexians, and we're really excited to return to them being a central threat. But just getting their perspective a little bit, and getting the perspective of the big baddie of a set is so rare that I have to give this one an S ranking. I just gotta. All right, guys, moving on. We have Shadows over Innistrad. Let's get into it.
Some strange force is working on this world, twisting it into a bent reflection of itself. I've traveled the roads of Innistrad, searching for the meaning of this change. But all I find are more questions. Curses grow stronger. Monstrous thirsts cannot be sated, and the living are once again haunted by the dead. The source of this evil must be found before its dark presence consumes the world. Consumes me. Strange clues. A trail of dark magic. A tangled web of insanity. But the knots are unraveling. Those who once protected the world now fly on blood-stained wings.
Ooh, good line.
They've led me here, to this consecrated ground, to this madness.
So, Shadows over Innistrad, if you want a ideal trailer that provokes the sense of mystery, Shadows over Innistrad has that in spades. It really, really, really does. So Shadows over Innistrad, I'm going to say it's a really, really good trailer. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It lays a lot of what is going to be taking place in the story front and center. It doesn't overtly say anything because it really keeps that sense of mystery. And this is one of the times where people were really wondering, what is going on in Innistrad? Is there going to be a threat like the Eldrazi Titan Emrakul? Of course, a lot of people had their theories and speculations, all that kind of stuff, but they actually kept the identity of the main threat close to their chest in Shadows over Innistrad, and then it was revealed in Shadows, Eldritch Moon. So I will say that Shadows over Innistrad did a really good job of conveying that mystery, giving you little bits and pieces of what's changed on Innistrad since our last time there, and Jace's perspective of everything going on there. You know, especially that final scene with Avacyn just coming through that stained glass of her being all angelic and nice and her being corrupted and evil is really, really strong. It's a really, really strong symbolism for me in this set. And I love Avacyn as a character. So Shadows over Innistrad did a lot for me. It may be different for other people, but I'm going to go ahead and say this was an A tier trailer. You know, better than Khans of Tarkir, better than Dark Ascension. You know, it's up here, actually. Maybe just below its sister set of Eldritch Moon, but still really high up there. So a high ranking S for sure. All right, guys, and don't get much more modern than this. Strixhaven.
Welcome to Strixhaven University, home of the greatest volume of magical knowledge in
It's a
the
bop.
multiverse. Not that any of you could actually wield it yet. Now, before you go gallivanting in the vast biblioplex or test your skills in a game of Mage Tower, you must first choose which of the 5 colleges you will be joining at
I can't stop head bobbing.
Here to give you a rundown of some of your fellow students. And I know you're only here for the free pizza, but try and pay attention.
You got him, Cody.
The greatest of all the colleges, where we express ourselves through the elements. I said, through the elements. Writes an improv, Chris Murray.
Ow.
With darkness and danger lurking in every corner. Huzzah! Every day at Lorehold College is an adventure. Hold your horses.
Swing and a miss.
Cody!
No! Right in the curve.
History suggests that Lorehold is the best.
So, why would you want to join Silverquill College? The great dragon, Shadrick Silverquill, founded our college. We wield the power of the words and leadership. Remain the core fundamentals.
You need to wrap this up, kid.
And from there, the multiverse is allowing a... For a talking book, you sure seem to hate words.
Welcome, everyone. I have calculated the perfect equation that will demonstrate why Quandrix College is the best choice by 32.675%. Or was it 32.674%? Let me double check that. You forgot to carry the 1. It's 0.676, actually. You're both wrong. You see, you forgot about the crufix of them. You did remember to put a limiter on this spell, right? Oh, crap. Well, thanks for listening to our presentation.
Are you guys having fun with this?
You're still only getting 1 slice of pizza.
I don't know if I am.
We just solved that problem. Multiply!
Next!
Okay, whatever. Here at Witherbloom, we got the best plants. With their potent home brews and ability to
Can't skip, man.
death, Witherbloom College is the best school to expand your mind.
sweet. It's all yours, Cody.
Well, there you have it. Let's give a hand for our pretensions, or perhaps a eulogy for me if I get swallowed alive by this mycelial monstrosity. Anyway, your college awaits. Come here, Mushroom. Put you on the pizza. Choose excellence. Where are you, Mushroom?
All right, so Strixhaven is the weirdest trailer in Magic the Gathering's history because it's not so much a trailer as it is an infomercial, right? So, you know how I was saying how the Ravnica and the Khans of Tarkir trailer, they did a really good job of conveying the guilds involved there, the color pairings, the tribes, the Khans, all that kind of stuff. Strixhaven takes that to the extreme and kind of does a not great job with it. Rather than being organic and conveying those ideals in a flavorful way from the perspective of someone who's actually involved there and giving like their hints of how they feel about each of the guilds, or in this case colleges, we're basically just given a presentation on all 5 of them, and through those presenters you understand what the college is all about, but they also just outright tell you what they're about, you know? Especially in Silverquill's case, you know, it's funny because, yeah, they go on forever, but it also summons the Inkling, and, you know, they like words. They're very wordy. It's a very long trailer, you know, and like I said, it's really more of an infomercial for the colleges than it is a trailer. And I think it was kind of designed this way because, yeah, school presentations are kind of sucky. They're amateur-esque, and it really had that kind of feel to it. The animation style obviously comes out of nowhere in terms of Magic the Gathering's history. It wasn't the 3D style, but it was a 2D style, but not in the style of artwork in the actual set itself. It was fashioned after South Park's interpretation of how Canadians look. You know, very similar to that. But it's too wordy. It does a weird thing of not explaining the story that happens in Strixhaven whatsoever, but it also does a bad job of conveying to you the colleges of Strixhaven. It does a technically good job of literally telling you what the colleges are about, but does it in such a lacking, flavorful way that you might as well have just read the wiki. It's essentially the same thing. You know, if one of the colleges was giving their perspective on the other colleges or something like that, I think it would have been fun. The humor, it's not my type of humor. If you like it, good on ya. I'm glad that you can enjoy it. It wasn't my type of comedy, so I feel so off the mark for a Magic the Gathering trailer that it's more of a Hearthstone trailer. You know, I told my brother when I watched it, like, it's a Hearthstone trailer. It's a Hearthstone trailer. That's all it is. And I feel like they're trying to play off of that campiness and, you know, just the fun atmosphere that comes with a lot of the Hearthstone trailers, but it doesn't really fit with the Magic IP as well. You know, maybe it was a little too laid back for me. It definitely doesn't convey the story or anything like that. So I'm going to say that this is a D tier trailer. We don't have a lot of those. Funnily enough, they're all modern trailers. Is that nostalgia playing a bias influence on me or anything like that? Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, like Commander the Gathering saying, I get it, but I don't get it. You know, that's where I'll stay. Okay, let's move on. We got another modern trailer in Theros Beyond Death. I'm confused. Alright, so Theros Beyond Death is an interesting case because it's the only trailer here not tied to the story of a set, because Theros Beyond Death, while technically having a story, had almost no source material for that story because it did not have any written articles about it. Completely dropped the ball. Was like one of the worst crimes in Magic the Gathering's lore history, because the idea of Elspeth Tirel, a main character, a beloved character who had an amazing story and adventure on the original Theros, not having the justice deserved to write them out their story and how they get out and escape the underworld. It's mind-boggling what happened. That being said, let's judge this trailer by its own merits. Animations look good. Look a little stilted, honestly. Kind of worse than the other 3D animations. But we don't know what the hell's going on in this story. We don't know what's going on in the trailer. And the trailer does a terrible job of conveying what's going on. We know Elspeth's dead, and we know that they're in the Theros underworld. We don't know why these dead bodies are walking towards this wall of light and getting shot up. I don't know why Elspeth cares about this little girl that is about to touch the wall. Maybe she thinks it's her younger self or something like that. But obviously this all turns out to be a nightmare by Ashiok, who we have no idea why they're doing this. We don't know why Elspeth is being pulled underwater and being forced to see a nightmare or anything like that. So it does a bad job of kind of conveying a story in and of itself and its like own self-contained narrative. There's no voice acting at all, which doesn't help it in conveying that story. But none of this actually happens in the very little story we do get in Theros Beyond Death. I don't even know if like Ashiok sees Elspeth in the story. Like, I think they do. I think there's like a shadowy version of Elspeth because of Ashiok. But really, this specific scene never happens. It's weird. Yeah, like, Elspeth didn't fight Ashiok. Like, the story for Theros Beyond Death is so broken because there was no written articles. There was no actual context to pull from. That this trailer, while it may have hyped some people up for Theros Beyond Death, it really didn't get you invested into the story because there was no story to be invested in. So, Theros Beyond Death, I'm sorry, this is one of the rare examples of another F-tier trailer. For how technically awesome it is because of the way it looks, even though it's kind of not great. You know, it's not as good as some other 3D animations. It being tied to no story, it not being involved in the story whatsoever, the scenes that take place in this trailer, and really not pulling you forward to want to know what's going on. It's almost like the trailer wanted to bank on people being invested in Elspeth as a character enough to get invested in the story, and didn't want the trailer to overshadow Elspeth. You know, but it didn't do anything. It's a big nothing trailer. So I'm going to say this is F. I didn't like it. It didn't get me hyped up for Theros Beyond Death as much as I should have been, given the context and Elspeth's weight in the MTG storyline. Elspeth's resurrection from the underworld was such a do or die moment, you know, for the story, because it's a big name character doing a big name event on a plane that people absolutely love. Theros. People love Theros. But the story didn't do it justice because there was no story. And I really gotta say, it's a true crime in the Vorthos community, and we're gonna leave it at F. Let's go ahead and move on to, from the last known Theros trailer to the first. original Theros set trailer.
We are the gods who hold dominion over the world. The givers of light. The stewards of the wilds. The guardians of the dead. Some manipulate mortals. Create catastrophes. Send monsters to terrorize the land. Such are the whims of the gods. And I am Heliod, the greatest of these. Yet something ominous gnaws at the edges of my world. Akros is home to fierce warriors, yet they struggle against hordes of minotaurs. In Meletus, the city of philosophers, oracles foresee disaster. And Satessa, a haven in the wilds, is terrorized by monsters like none have seen before. My world is filled with heroes, but none of them are strong enough to defeat the enemy hiding in plain sight among them. Yet, I know one who is. She does not wish to be a hero, but fate has other plans for her. Elspeth will save Theros from the usurper who would steal it from me. Darkness approaches, and she must become the hero she was meant to be.
Alright guys, so Theros' trailer is really, really good. I love these classic designs of trailers. They're just amazing. Heliod is the narrator here, and he really gives off the sense that he's a good god. You know, the king of the gods or the god of gods, whatever. He kind of gives off the feeling that he is a good guy in the story. Of course, our expectations are subverted because of that, because eventually in the end he is revealed to be a jackass, essentially. But yeah, very good voice acting, very good way of, again, from the perspective of a character in this world, describing the gods in this plane, you know? Really, really awesome job here. It teases the story. It tells you what's going on there. It tells you the threats that Theros is facing without really telling you the end goal. And then, of course, you know, it teases Xenagos, the usurper. It makes you want to know more of what is going on in this set. It makes you want to learn about the story. It makes you want to read more. And it really gets you hyped up about the gods of Theros. So it really, really, really makes you want to go out there and buy a box. You know what I mean? Try and pull as many gods as possible. And of course, it goes into Elspeth, her initial motivations, how fate kind of makes her into a hero despite her not really wanting to take on that mantle. I think it's really good. It's not as good as Journey into Nyx. It's on the same level as Born of the Gods, you know? So I'm going to actually put it up here above Kaladesh. And it's right behind Born of the Gods because I like Xenagos and the way that he kind of describes the gods a little bit better. But it's definitely B tier. Nothing wrong with it. It's really solid. But yeah, I'm going to say that's a good spot for it. Alright guys, let's get into Throne of Eldraine, another modern trailer, and see what it looks like. Alright, this is definitely gonna DMCA me. I'll mute it post-edit. Alright, so Throne of Eldraine. Its trailer is weird, it's fun, it's kooky. So, it does a better job of conveying the potential story of Eldraine than you would first think. First off, 3D animation of Garruk Wildspeaker. I will always love it. It's amazing. I want to see 3D Garruk in every Netflix show, in more trailers, all that stuff. It does a good job in conveying the story simply because, yeah, it follows a bunch of gingerbread men and all that kind of stuff, but Garruk being involved at least gives you some sense of what's kind of going on. You don't know what's going on in the story. You just know Garruk's there. So, hey, I love him. I love it. Obviously, the trailer is not designed to be something that's conveying the story. Obviously, it's just a fun idea, a fun look at fairy tales. You know, and that's what Eldraine was as a set. It was Magic's interpretation of fairy tales. You know, it even says in the tagline, these fairy tales fight back. So in that, it was a fun kind of campy trailer. It had a lot of fairy tale fringe to it. It wasn't my idea. It wasn't like my ideal trailer for Magic the Gathering. It just wasn't. But hey, Ginger Brutes is a good card. Well, kind of meme card in Eldraine. This set was fun. This set was really good. I really did like the cards in Eldraine. It was a fun set to play. But in terms of trailers, I mean, it didn't get me hyped. This is a D tier trailer. No, you know what? I'm going to say it's a little bit better than D. I'm going to say it's low C. The reason I'm putting it a low C is because it does a terrible job of conveying the story that actually takes place in Throne of Eldraine. Like, not at all. None. But outside of Garruk showing up, no connection to the story whatsoever. That being said, though, it's fun, it's campy. It did what it was supposed to do, was bring the idea of fairy tales to Magic the Gathering, and it did that. with the gingerbread man, it did that. So, you know, I'm going to go ahead and say that it's going to be low C tier. That's it. Now let's get into something I know would be DMCA'd. War of the Spark. So if I turn down the volume and turn down the music, I apologize, but just for the sake of the video here, we're going to make sure that I don't get copyright strict and turn it down to nothing. But that's okay because there's no dialogue in this set. It just has music, Linkin Park, you know what it is. Ripdak. Ripdak. Still stings to this day. Killed by a single Eternal. Ripginian? The contract, baby. All right, so what can we say about the trailer for War of the Spark? Well, obviously, it is one of the best feats of Magic the Gathering's history. It's a really, really good trailer. It does a great job of conveying the story. It does a great job of getting you hyped up for this massive, epic conflict that took years and years of cultivating in the story to kind of bring forth. Now, I'm going to completely remove this trailer from the written novel of War of the Spark because that was just god-awful and just like a complete crime on the Fourth of community. But that being said, the trailer did a really, really good job of getting people hyped up for this set. War of the Spark was an amazing set in and of itself, really unique with all the Planeswalkers, really good idea for the story, everything like that. Shows Dak Fade and Dying, which was way cooler in the trailer than it was actually in the written novel. So there's actually parts of the trailer that are actually multitude times better than the actual article itself. So I'm going to go ahead and say this is, technically speaking, is the best trailer ever in Magic the Gathering. There's no narration or anything, and none of that's really needed because everything is conveyed through the actions of Liliana, the reversing of time. It shows you real tragedy taking place on this plane. It really shows the full magnitude of Nicol Bolas as a threat, you know? So Everything screams amazing for this trailer. I don't think anyone really had a question about where this was going to be placed. It's the best trailer they have created. And hopefully they can recapture this magic in future trailers. They really haven't with like Ikoria, Kaldheim, and Strixhaven, which are all below it, way below it in the D tier level here. Even Theros Beyond Death, F tier. You know what I'm saying? So it really needs to, they really need to go back to see War of the Spark and what made that so successful and kind of replicate it a little bit more. And then hopefully it can get paired with a story that isn't just trash like War of the Spark was. So hopefully we can get that, replicate that magic, that lightning in a bottle again, but this time pair it with something good. So we're going to go ahead to the very last trailer here on our list. We have a bonus trailer afterwards, so stay tuned for that. It's not on this list exactly, but we do have a bonus trailer after this, which is Zendikar Rising. So let's go ahead and pop it in and see what we have.
This will change Zendikar forever. Careful.
Harry, we need to leave. Now!
I didn't know her lithomancy could do that.
Got you.
Those talking animations are like really unsettling. They don't seem natural at all.
Zareth?
Rip Zareth.
What is this thing, Nahiri?
Again, what is with the lip sync here?
No more hellish monsters. This is our chance.
Our chance? Zareth's chance? No.
I'm so sorry, Akiri. I truly am.
You know, you just paralyzed her. You could have just like walked away. You didn't have to push her, but okay. All right, so Zendikar Rising was really not great in my opinion. The animation seemed really off for a trailer this long. I think it's the longest trailer they kind of have. It just seemed like they half-assed the animations here. I mean, the 3D modeling looks great and everything like that, but there's points where the talking and the voice lines don't really sync up with the lips, and it really like they did a really bad job making these characters look realistic and like just like realistic, you know? They did a really bad job of making it look like a really good, convincing, fluid animation. Again, this actually does follow the story almost one-to-one with what happens in the actual written article. So I'll give it props to that. It really does show you the story. But at the same time, it really doesn't convey what the hell is going on. You know, she grabs an orb, a bunch of elementals come up, and then she at least explains that she wants to use it to end the royals of Zendikar, the elementals and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't explain why this device killed Xerath and not the other girl. It doesn't explain why Nahiri has to kill the other girl to get the orb back. She takes it from her. She could have just walked away. Nahiri becomes a little bit on the evils. You know, you can't have a lot of empathy for Nahiri in this trailer. I didn't like this trailer at all. This just goes to show you that length doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a good trailer. Zendikar's Rising, I had a couple issues with the story in general, but this, again, it's a D-tier trailer in my eyes. Probably a little bit better than Strixhaven, because Strixhaven was like an infomercial, but still, for something that was following a story almost one-to-one, it just didn't make me care about the story that much, and it really just left me asking, why is X happening, rather than wanting to know what can happen next, you know? Because, I don't know, Nahiri just seems like a weird character here. And the animation didn't really help. It was like one of the more frustrating animations to watch. Alright guys, that's it for my official tier list for the cinematic trailers for Magic the Gathering. Make sure you follow the link below to make your own tier list relating to the trailers and see where you would rank these. And then you can tweet them at me at SimonLore so I can see where our opinions differ just a little bit. And of course, if you guys like this video, make sure you leave it a like and subscribe and take that notification bell so you know exactly when I go live next for another tier list, and you guys can join the discussions in the chat. Tell me where I'm getting things wrong live, just like chat did today. It was a lot of fun. Streaming is going to be done Mondays and Wednesdays from 6 p.m. till 8 to 9-ish. So 2 to 3 hours long, depending on what we're looking at that day. So make sure you guys join in on the fun when you guys get the chance.